Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer channel episode, and today we are going to be doing what all of my Queen Victoria diary entries, all my previous ones, have been leading up to, and that is the Queen's accession to the throne. So as we know, Victoria, before becoming Queen, was known as Princess Victoria, and she was the heir apparent to the throne. So on Saturday, well, not Saturday, but on the 20th of June in 1837, Victoria did indeed become Queen. She ascended to the throne. And I do believe back in 1837 it was actually a Tuesday. So what I wanted to do today was to read both of Victoria's journal entries for the days around her becoming Queen. So I'm going to read first of all the journal entry from Monday the 19th, the day prior to, and then I will read what Victoria wrote on the day that she became Queen. So you may have noticed in the previous diary entries that pretty much Victoria's life is very, very samey at Kensington Palace. Of course, she's ruled by her mother in what is known as the Kensington system. If you don't know what the Kensington system is, do go and take a look at my first video in this short series of diary readings where I explain all about it. So, on the day prior to becoming Queen, it's just like any other day for Victoria, apart from one little piece of news at the end, which we'll get to. So it's quite a short diary entry, and it reads, Monday the 19th of June, got up at 8:15, read in Les Valises du Chateau while my hair was doing. After 9, we breakfasted. The children played in the room. At 10:15, Mary, Lazen and the children and I drove out and came home at a little after 11. Read in Les Valises du Chateau, wrote my journal, did various things, saw Dr. Clark, saw Ernest Holenho, who brought me the news from Windsor that the poor king was so ill that he could hardly live through that day. So she had the news the day prior that things were not looking good for the king. He likewise brought me a very kind message from the poor queen, and also one from the poor old king. Read in Les Valises du Chateau. After 7, we dined, saw the children before dinner for a minute, stayed up till 10:15, read in W. Scott's Life while my hair was doing. So that was the day prior to. Obviously, Victoria was fully aware that the king's health was failing, and as advised, that he may not live through that day. So Victoria was fully anticipating the moment when she would become Queen. So let's skip to on this day in royal history. So Tuesday, the 20th of June, 1837. And I have as you can imagine, quite a big and very different diary entry or journal entry from Victoria on that day. So Tuesday the 20th of June, I was awoke at 6 o'clock by Mama, who told me that the Archbishop of Canterbury and Lord Conyngham were here and wished to see me. I got out of bed and went into my sitting room, only in my dressing gown, and alone, and saw them. Lord Conyngham, the Lord Chamberlain, then acquainted me that my poor uncle the king was no more, and had expired at 2 this morning, and consequently that I am Queen. Lord Conyngham knelt down and kissed my hand, at the same time delivering to me the official announcement of the poor king's demise. The Archbishop then told me that the Queen was desirous that he should come and tell me the details of the last moments of my poor good uncle. He said that he had directed his mind to religion, and had died in a perfectly happy, quiet state of mind, and was quite prepared for his death. He added that the king's sufferings at the last were not very great, but that there was a good deal of uneasiness. Lord Conyngham, who I had charged to express my feelings of condolence and sorrow to the poor Queen, returned directly to Windsor. I then went to my room and dressed. Since it has pleased Providence to place me in this station, I shall do my utmost to fulfil my duty. Towards my country, I am very young, and perhaps in many though not in all things inexperienced, but I am sure that very few have more real goodwill and more real desire to do what is fit and right than I have. Breakfasted, during which time good faithful Stockmar came and talked to me, wrote a letter to dear Uncle Leopold and a few words to dear good Theodore. Received a letter from Lord Melbourne in which he said he would wait upon me at a little before 9. At 9 came Lord Melbourne, whom I saw in my room, and of course quite alone, as I shall always do all of my ministers. He kissed my hand and then acquainted him that it had been my intention to retain him and the rest of the present ministry at the head of affairs, and that it could not be in better hands than his. He again then kissed my hand. He then read to me the declaration which I was to read to the council, which he wrote himself, and which is a very fine one. I then talked with him some time longer, after which he left me. He was in full dress. I like him very much and feel confidence in him. He is very straightforward, honest, clever, and a good man. I then wrote a letter to the Queen. At about 11, Lord Melbourne came again to me and spoke to me upon various subjects. At about 11:15, I went downstairs and held a council in the Red Saloon. I went in, of course, quite alone, and remained seated the whole time. My two uncles, the Dukes of Cumberland and Sussex, and Lord Melbourne, conducted me. The declaration, the various forms, and swearing in of the privy councillors, of which there was a great number present, and reception of some of the lords of council, previous to the council in an adjacent room, likewise alone, I subjoin here. I was not at all nervous, and had the satisfaction of hearing that people were satisfied with what I had done, and how I had done it. Received, after this, audiences of Lord Melbourne and Lord John Russell, Lord Albemarle, Master of the Horse, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, all in my room and alone. Saw Stockmar, saw Clark, whom I named my physician, saw Mary, wrote to Uncle Ernest, saw Ernest Hohenho, who brought me a kind and very feeling letter from the poor Queen. I feel very much for her, and really feel that the poor good King was always so kind personally to me, that I should be ungrateful were I not to recollect it, and feel grieved at his death. The poor Queen is wonderfully composed now, I hear. Wrote my journal, took my dinner upstairs alone, went downstairs, saw Stockmar. At about minutes to 9 came Lord Melbourne, and remained till near 10. I had a very important and comfortable conversation with him. Each time I see him, I feel more confidence in him. I find him very kind in his manner too. Saw Stockmar, went down and said good night to Mamma, and my dear Lazen will always remain with me as my friend, but will take no situation about me, and I think she is right. Wow, what an amazing diary entry. I think one of the things that we can take from this is definitely that shifting of power that I spoke of in the previous journal entries. And one of the things that Victoria keeps on stressing throughout this whole diary piece, I've noticed, is that she's doing things alone. She has not had the privilege of being able to do things alone, to conduct audiences alone. And she says, this is how I will always see my ministers. I will always see them alone. She knows at this point that she is, she is all powerful. Her mother, has effectively lost control of her. And we know that later on, Victoria effectively, banishes her from the bedroom of which they had previously been sharing. She moves from Kensington Palace to Buckingham Palace. She makes Buckingham Palace her main residence. So yes, there's definitely a changing of power. Also, we see how humbled she is. She almost feeling slightly guilty, where she says, I feel very much for her. So obviously she's feeling compassion for the Queen, now the Queen Dowager. And that the King was always so kind and personally to me, that I should be ungrateful were I not to recollect it and feel grieved at his death. So she is saying that even though, I think she's implying that even though she feels lucky that she has been elevated to this position, that she should also not forget how kind he was to her personally, and that she should also feel grief, even at this time when actually she is probably really relieved to have the power, to have the freedom put in her hands to do with as she wants. She should always, feel feel a sense of sadness. So we get to see inside the mind of a new queen who has just been named queen, who is actually feeling very considerate, very thoughtful of other people's feelings, and very aware, I think, of that change in position. She said that my dear Lazen will always remain with me as my friend, but will take no situation about me. Of course, Lazen was, her friend, but also her governess. And, she's saying that now I am in control. Lazen will always be with me, but I am the one that is now in control. I will not be, I will not be subjected to another person's rule. I am queen, and she most definitely knows that. Right, I'm going to go to the comments and see exactly what people are saying about this. Miriam says, oh my God, for a moment there, I thought Beatrice or one of the others of the young ones had become queen. No, Queen Victoria. Victoria became queen on this day in royal history. El Hard says it's strange. Don't know how, but I'm... Oh, your different names from on your iPad on YouTube. I have no idea why that would be. Amber Gordon says, I wonder how fast she wanted to kick Conroy out of her mother's life. Well, obviously she had an intense disliking of the Kensington system that was imposed. And I think she thought also that Conroy had a bit of a control over her mother. So yeah, I bet she couldn't wait to make some changes, most definitely. Oh, thank you to Me Jones Op, who's donated $9.99. I will give you a fan flap. Let me find one. I know I haven't worn tiaras or done a fan flap in a while, but there we go. Thank you so much for the very kind donation. I do have all my working fans there. So yeah. Nancy says you have neon green eyes with the glare. Yeah, when I get my own actual glasses, I'm going to have to ask for some that don't do that. Whatever people have on TV, that is what I need to get. Right, I'm going to show you the tiara before I go. This is Queen Victoria's diamond and sapphire tiara. Isn't it gorgeous? So yes, that is this series completed. Occasionally I may do some more diary entry readings from the Queen when it is an important, perhaps, anniversary or date. Let me know if you still want to hear more diary entries. Whatever happened to the crown Victoria wore? Do you mean the small diamond crown? That is in the Tower of London, in the Jewel House. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own two eyes, and it is a magnificent little diamond crown. Of course, the imperial state crown, I do believe, has been altered since Victoria's day. And of course, our present queen had the arches in it lowered as well to make it look a little bit more suitable in size. Yes, the small one, it's at the Tower of London. Right, I'm going to go now. Thank you so much for stopping by. I will come back almost immediately and do another live chat about what's been going on today in the present world. So, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media and also hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, please remember to subscribe to the channel. So from me in Shropshire, mwah to you all and goodbye.